At night, a lot of people think they are finally resting. The lights go down, the day is over, and everything feels quiet. But for many people, the night is actually where the next day starts getting ruined. Not in some dramatic way. Not all at once, just little by little. A bright screen here, a late snack there, a cup of coffee that seemed harmless, a bedtime that keeps changing. None of it feels like a big deal in the moment. But over time, these small night habits can leave people waking up feeling heavier, slower, and more tired than they should. And that is why this matters. Because most people are not looking for a huge life change. They just want to wake up and feel normal again. Clear, light, rested, like their body actually recovered overnight. So let's go through the 5 night habits that are quietly making people feel older than they really are. And the last one is the one most people overlook completely. The first habit is bright light late at night. This one sounds too simple to matter, but it matters more than people think. When the room stays too bright, or when the phone is glowing right in the face, the brain gets the wrong message. It does not feel like bedtime. It feels like the day is still going. That can make it harder to fully wind down. And when people do not wind down properly, sleep often feels lighter, less satisfying, and less restorative. That is why some people can sleep for hours and still wake up feeling off. The body was in bed, but the mind never truly shifted into rest mode. And the strange part is that many people do this without even noticing. They are not trying to sabotage their sleep. They are just checking one more thing, watching one more video, or staying under harsh light a little longer than they should. The second habit is caffeine too late in the day. A lot of people think caffeine is only a problem if they drink it right before bed, but for some people, even a late afternoon coffee can still affect the night. That is because caffeine can keep the brain more alert than it should be when it is time to slow down. So even if the body feels tired, the mind may still be wired. And that is a frustrating place to be. You lie down tired, but sleep does not come smoothly. Or it comes, but it does not feel deep. Then the next morning arrives, and you feel like you did not get the reset you expected. This is one of those habits people keep repeating because it feels harmless in the moment. They need energy to finish the day, so they reach for coffee, tea, or an energy drink. But later, the cost shows up quietly at night. And once that pattern starts, it can make people feel like they are always one step behind their own energy. The third habit is eating too heavily too late. This one is common, especially after long or stressful days. A person gets home late, feels hungry, and starts reaching for food that is heavy, rich, or too large for that time of night. At first, it feels comforting, but later, it can make the body work harder when it should be slowing down. Sleep is supposed to be the time when the body recovers, but if the stomach is still busy processing a heavy meal, the whole system can feel less settled. That is why some people wake up with a heavy feeling instead of a fresh one. Not because they did something terrible, just because their night never fully settled. And this habit is sneaky because it often feels like self-care. It feels like reward. It feels like ending the day properly. But sometimes what feels comforting for a moment can make the next morning feel far worse. Now, the fourth habit is one that people almost never think about as a problem, and that is inconsistent sleep timing. Some nights they sleep early. Other nights they stay up much later. Then on weekends, everything shifts again. The body never really knows what to expect, and that matters more than most people realize. The body loves rhythm. It likes patterns. It wants to know when to slow down and when to wake up. But when bedtime keeps changing, the internal clock gets confused. That confusion can make sleep less stable. Mornings can feel rougher. Energy can feel more random. And people start to notice that even when they technically get sleep, they still do not feel fully recovered. This is one of the biggest reasons people feel older than they should at night and in the morning. Not because they are doing anything extreme, but because their body never gets a steady signal that it is safe to fully reset. And that takes us to the fifth habit. The fifth habit is the one that keeps the brain switched on right before sleep. This is the habit that turns night into a mental overload. Scrolling, checking messages, jumping between apps, watching just one more clip, thinking about tomorrow while still staring at a screen. On the outside, it looks normal. Almost everyone does it. But inside the body, it creates a problem. The brain is still active when it should be shutting down. The body is in bed, but the mind is still moving. When the mind does not slow down, the night does not feel restful. That is why some mornings feel strangely heavy. They may have slept, but not truly disconnected. They did not give the brain a clean break. They did not let the night do its real job. And this is where everything starts to connect, because it is not just one habit, it is the combination. Too much light, too much caffeine, too much late food, too much inconsistency, too much stimulation right before sleep. None of those things look huge on their own, but together, they can make people feel older and slower than they are. The fix is not some dramatic overnight transformation. It starts with making the night calmer, lighter, and more predictable. Because when the night gets better, the morning changes too. The body wakes up with less resistance. The mind feels clearer. The day starts with a little more energy instead of a lot more struggle. And that is where the real difference begins. Once people notice these patterns, the goal is not to be perfect overnight. It is simply to make the night feel a little more supportive instead of slightly draining. Start with something very simple. Let the night actually feel like night. Allow the environment to become softer and dimmer. When the surroundings quiet down, the body gets a clearer signal to slow. That small shift can make sleep feel deeper without changing anything else. Then comes awareness around caffeine. Not cutting it out completely, just noticing the timing. For some people, moving it earlier can make a surprising difference. Next is how the night ends in terms of food. It is about noticing how the body feels after eating late. Sometimes a small adjustment in timing or portion helps the body fully relax. Then there is consistency, a powerful but overlooked shift. Going to bed around the same time gives the body a rhythm. Once rhythm builds, sleep becomes more stable and mornings less chaotic. It is not instant, but it is noticeable. Finally, consider how the night ends mentally. Instead of going straight from stimulation to sleep, allow a small buffer. This is the habit that ties everything together. Let the mind settle and allow thoughts to pass without reacting to them. That quiet space before sleep is where real recovery begins. Sleep is not just about closing your eyes. It is about how prepared you are to rest. When small changes stack up, the difference becomes clear over a few nights. Mornings feel lighter and the body feels less stiff. The mind feels less foggy and there is a little more clarity and energy. That feeling builds and the heaviness begins to fade. Not because of one big change, but because the night is finally doing what it should. Restore, reset, and prepare the body for the next day. Feeling older is sometimes about how well the body recovers each night, not age. When recovery improves, energy becomes more stable and focus easier. All of it traces back to what happens in the quiet hours before sleep. So instead of fixing everything at once, think in a simpler way. Make the night feel calmer, lighter, and more consistent. When the night supports the body, the day becomes easier to handle. Not perfection, just small adjustments that let the body do what it already knows how to do. Rest properly, recover fully, and wake up feeling a little better than the day before. Because in the end, it is not one big habit that changes everything. It is the quiet ones, the ones that happen every night, the ones people barely notice. Those are the ones that shape how the body feels over time. And once those begin to change, the difference is hard to ignore. If this made sense, the next step is to look at what happens after waking up. Because just like the night can quietly drain energy, the morning can quietly waste it too. And once both sides are working together, that is when people start to feel a real shift. Thanks for watching True Health Tales. If this helped you, Smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next truth.